The Israeli government has approved a 6-week ceasefire deal with Hamas, paving the way for hostages to start being released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. The ceasefire is expected to come into effect at 8:30 a.m. local time on Sunday. That's around 5:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, according to Qatar's Foreign Ministry. Israeli ministers debated into the early hours of the morning. Eventually, they voted through the deal 24-8. The agreement will now unfold over 3 stages from Sunday. Since the agreement was announced, medics in Gaza say more than 100 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. We'll hear from our Global Affairs editor, John Lyons, in just a moment. We start tonight's coverage with our Middle East correspondent, Matthew Doran.
In Khan Yunis, starving Palestinians queue with outstretched hands, reaching out with pots and buckets, desperate for a meal.
We wait at the soup kitchen for 4 or 5 hours and we suffer.
News of the ceasefire deal has spread throughout the Strip. Residents are hoping the bombs will soon stop, once and for all.
When they said there'd be a truce, we were so happy we couldn't sleep all night and all day praying to God that Sunday comes with good news.
Israel's full cabinet has given the green light to the ceasefire with Hamas to be rolled out from Sunday in 3 phases. In the first, 33 Israeli hostages will be released, among them women and children. 30 Palestinian detainees will be released for every civilian hostage, 50 for every female Israeli soldier. And Israel will pull its troops from populated areas of Gaza and allow 600 trucks of aid in per day. With just hours until the ceasefire begins, the families of hostages are growing more anxious.
This deal should have happened before, but I don't want to look backward.
Daniel's grandfather, Oded, was abducted from his kibbutz on October 7. The 85-year-old is likely to be among the first released, although his family doesn't know if he's dead or alive.
It's very difficult to prepare for a festival and a funeral. It's impossible, so I'm not really on that place yet.
Funerals are being prepared in Gaza, where Israeli strikes continue. Emir al-Sultan lost 9 members of his family just days ago after a strike hit their home in Jabalia.
I received this picture from one of my colleagues in the north. My mother is still under the rubble. They could not pull her out.
Hamas says since the deal was announced, Israeli strikes have killed more than 100 Palestinians.
The smoke continues to rise from northern Gaza behind me, an area which has been subject to some of the most intense bombardments of the war in the last few months. In the last few minutes, we've heard dozens of explosions showing Israel is continuing to hit the area right up until that ceasefire takes hold.
The devastation over the border isn't enough to discourage some Israelis wanting to move into Gaza almost immediately. This group of would-be residents rushing to set up camp in a car park close to the border, seeing their future in Gaza as a life without Palestinian neighbours.
We originally gave them the land and they proved dangerous to the rest of the country. And the safest thing that we can do is to ensure that it's within Jewish control.
And they're not worried about inflaming tensions at such a delicate time.
Actions speak louder than words.
A motto which will ring true as the ceasefire comes into force. Matthew Doran, ABC News.
Let's bring in Global Affairs editor John Lyons now with his take on whether the deal will hold.
With a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas set to begin, it's worth looking at what this really means for the longer term. There's now even greater hostility. Since the ceasefire announcement, Israel's bombing of Gaza has been fierce. Gazan health authorities report more than 100 people killed, more than 50 being women and children. To secure this deal, Prime Minister Netanyahu has done extraordinary deals to lock in his far-right government. Israeli media reports that Finance Minister Smotrich, who leads the religious Zionism party, said the war must resume once all hostages have been freed. National Security Minister Ben-Gvir demanded and received a guarantee there will be more construction of Jewish settlements in the West Bank. So to get this deal, Israel is expanding settlements, the very thing that makes a political solution rather than a military one even more difficult. And now Qatar's Prime Minister has revealed that this deal is virtually the same deal that Israel said no to 13 months ago. So why did thousands more Palestinian children need to be killed? It's clear from Israel's actions that this is a hostage rather than a ceasefire deal. By expanding Jewish settlements, widely regarded as illegal under international law, Israel is entrenching this conflict, which all means this is not really the end of anything. It's but merely a pause before another round of violence.